Hey guys, JP Moses here, awesomerei.com. How's it going? I'm thrilled to be finally pulling the curtain back on something that we've been hard at work on behind the scenes. It's been cooking in the oven for a minute, and with a big sigh of relief, I am here to announce our new training program on how to get your first B&B listing. That's right. We've got the man himself, Brian Page, the B&B Sherpa. This guy has cracked the code on how to make bank with Airbnb on properties that you don't even have to own. That's right. You heard me right. You don't have to own the properties. Brian actually teaches 3 unique strategies on how you can make great money through Airbnb or VRVO or homeaway, or choose your poison, but Airbnb is the 800-pound gorilla in the industry. And in this training, he does an excellent job just laying it all out for you step by step on how anyone, you included, with as little money and as little trial and error learning curve as possible. So the training is broken down into 6 simple step-by-step videos that walk sequentially through everything you need to know to land that first B&B listing and start making money sooner rather than later. And these are the exact strategies that he himself and a number of people that he's trained how to do this have been using for years, year after year. So let's just take a look. I'll give you a sneak peek at the training program itself so you can get a little bit more insight into what's in store for you. All right, here we are inside the members area for your first B&B by Brian Page. And we always like to start off by just welcoming you to the family, because when you do invest in yourself by stepping into one of our training dojos, then you are part of the family. And we think that's pretty darn awesome. So we start off with just by giving you kind of a quick overview of what's in store. Then we point you to Module 1, the Kickstart for your first B&B. Now, here's where you start taking those first necessary steps forward on the right foot, hopefully, for your first B&B. And you just start moving that ball forward sooner rather than later. As you can see there, it's about 15 minutes long. And this is where Brian gives you kind of a mall map of the whole process, start to finish. And you know, when I step into a mall, the first thing I need is the mall map so I can see how to get from here to there, from where I am, right inside the doorway, to the store where I'm going to buy my shoes, or let's be honest, whatever toy or video game I'm into. So in a nutshell, that's the purpose of this first module, is just to give you your orientation of where you're going, where you are now, and what's right ahead of you. And also, just real quick, I want to point out the executive summary. Every single video in your first B&B training has a written executive summary, because let's be honest, some people like to read, some people like to watch videos. You can have your cake and eat it too. And also, some people don't like to watch videos, they like to listen. So you can choose your poison in terms of what media you prefer. So there's one video on the mall map just to orient yourself. And also you start right out of the gate setting up your core infrastructure, setting up your B&B account, getting it really dialed in for what's ahead. So literally there's some action steps right out of the gate. Moving on to Module 2, this is where you begin to embrace the B&B opportunity. This is all about understanding important origin stories to the whole thing. You're going to hear Brian's B&B origins, how he first got into doing B&B properties. You're also going to learn 3 bankable B&B strategies that you can use. And we'll take some time to really understand how Airbnb has had a game-changing market disruptor effect, and how and why you can profit handsomely from it. So a couple of videos in Module 2. Moving on to Module 3. This is where Brian starts walking you through how to choose your target market. Not all markets are created equal, as you might imagine. This is going to walk you gingerly, step by step, on how you choose your ideal target market for your first B&B. And this guy thinks it's pretty awesome. And also included in this module, Brian tackles the 3 market filtering questions that you're going to be asking yourself, that you must ask yourself when you're choosing your target market. Also, he includes the B&B Cities report, his own property profits calculator, and of course, another executive summary. And let me just tell you, these 2 assets are the easy button for you. I'm not going to spoil it or go into detail, but you're going to be really happy to see these 2 assets. Now, moving on, Module 4. This is where you learn every mother-loving thing Brian knows about how to go about finding the ideal first property for your first B&B. And Turns out it's not really that hard, but there are definitely some ninja skills that you need to learn sooner than later. And you just learn to focus on only the right properties, the ones that really matter for this strategy. Module 5, this is where Brian covers the easy pitch for property owners. Just a simple, easy conversation you can have when you start talking to property owners. And great news, it does not feel like a sales pitch. There's nothing salesy about it. It's surprisingly just a simple, straightforward way to offer the property owner a much better deal than they'd be looking at otherwise, including dissolving the most common objections, how to have the perfect low money conversation, and just to clarify 7 reasons why people won't just B&B properties themselves. And rounding home base on the core training, we're going to cross the finish line with Module 6. This is where you learn about the paperwork involved. And there's not a lot of paperwork. There's just 2 specific documents that Brian Lee uses on every single B&B. He'll walk through it, explain it in detail, and hand you those 2 documents so you can use them in landing your own first B&B. Plus, just a whole pile of simple best practices that Brian has learned through his own trial and error and is happy to pass along to you and me to shorten our learning curve. Important final pieces of the B&B puzzle for sure covered in Module 6. Now, something we commonly do is include bonuses and just to amplify our training sessions along with our core training. And your first B&B with Brian Page is no exception. This little gem, 24 first B&B listing case studies. Brian teaches you nothing held back, exactly what you need to do and the order in which you need to do it to get your first B&B listing sooner rather than later and start making bank through Airbnb. But you learn so much by adding to that conversation the true stories of 24 people detailing step-by-step their first B&B listing experience. And then we've got over 500 more conversations with students. These aren't necessarily about the first B&B, it could be their 12th B&B, people who've built full-on businesses around Airbnb. But we really wanted to focus like a laser on the first B&B listing case studies because they're so relevant to the training that we put together here on how to get your first B&B. So guys, that's it. Just a quick look at the inside of your first B&B by Brian Page. If you want to know more, just come on over to awesomerei.com and you can take a little closer look at your first B&B by Brian Page and make a decision if it seems to be a solid fit for you in accelerating your real estate endeavors. Guys, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you either on the website or in the members area or on a future video. Thanks, JP out.